Hi there. Travel and Things presents In Conversation With. I'm your host, I'm David Batsoffen, and I'm joined today by the CEO of Wild Dreams Hospitality. That's Hayley Cooper. Hayley, how are you doing? And thanks for joining me.
Hi, David. I'm doing great, thank you. And thank you for having me. Hope you're
It's
doing well.
I am indeed, thank you. Where do we find Hayley today?
I am very lucky to live in the Timbavati Private Nature Reserve, which is part of Greater Kruger. I'm based at a safari lodge here, so very, very lucky to live in the bush with the animals.
You are indeed. I envy you greatly. I only have one animal behind me, and I have to tell you that I did not hunt it, it was gifted to me.
Good to know.
Hayley, the reason that I'm talking to you today is that vegan or veganism seems to be coming to the fore now, that and plant-based foods. And that's one of your areas of speciality. And it's not something that one normally finds when you go out to a game lodge or to a game reserve. That's the furthest thing from people's minds. Or is that changing now?
Yeah, I definitely do think it is changing. We actually have even had guests stay with us before who have decided to become at least vegetarian during
Right.
their stay, which is always quite interesting. But yeah, so I'm a vegan hospitality consultant. I was certified officially last year, and you're quite correct. It's not commonplace to find vegan options in not only lodges but even in restaurants and hotels. Times are changing though. We are seeing more and more options. Like in our closest town, I think 95% of the restaurants do have at least one vegan option on their menu. Which is pretty good for a small bush town. But yeah, we need to see more options. So that is what I'm all about.
But chicken is actually a vegetable. I'm sure you're aware of that.
No, chicken is actually one of the worst things you can eat, but I won't go into detail on that. But yes, I know some people do say that. Yeah,
You get chops and boerewors and steak, and then you get chicken. And when you say, where are the vegetables? They go, the chicken. End of story.
exactly.
But
Yeah, I've heard that often.
but vegan food is not just about overboiled vegetables and bland looking dishes. It can be really, really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the mock meats out there these days are almost scary that they are so realistic. I've been in situations where I haven't really wanted to eat certain things because I felt that it was too realistic. I've also sent food back to check. I've asked servers and I'd be like, "Are you sure?" I mean, I was at a wedding once and they brought out the late night food and I had to run around trying to find someone. I was like, "I think you've given me a beef burger," and of course they hadn't. It was completely made of plants. So yeah, these days companies are very creative, coming up with literally a vegan version of anything. And we have a lot of really wonderful local companies in South Africa as well, who make incredible, incredible things.
But is it right? And I'm sort of going to toss the proverbial, I'm going to put the cat amongst the pigeons, although that for a vegan discussion, I think that's the wrong analogy. The zucchini amongst the vegetables, I don't know. Maybe there's a vegan version. Should there be copycat food? I mean, should you have a plant-based burger? Or should it just be, if you're a vegan, you eat vegetables and stuff made of vegetables that looks like vegetables and not looks like a steak or a piece of boerewors or something?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of different ways you can look at it. But I mean, first of all, obviously, when you take, for example, a cow, we are turning a cow into this round disc in effect to turn it into a burger. So it's not that, even people who do eat meat, they're not really eating that in its whole natural form.
Yeah.
Which, so, it's the same with plants. We can obviously make burger patties out of all sorts of things like soy and tofu and vegetables, etc. But also having a vegan version of certain meats that look the same, smell the same, taste the same, they even have the same texture, can be quite handy in a lot of cases. People who are transitioning to become vegan, for them, it's really great that instead of simply picking up their their meat boerewors off the shelf, they can pick up a vegan version. It's literally just a case of that for that, so they don't have to think about it too much. So it makes things easier. But also,
Okay.
in social situations as well, because there is still a little bit of a stigma about veganism. So if I go to a braai, for example, I don't typically turn up with my butternut stuffed with brown rice and chickpeas. I will turn up with a plant-based burger or sausages or something like that. So it definitely has its place. Yeah.
It's sad though that, I mean, it's 2021 and you look at what's going on in and around the world. Dr. Seuss books being pulled because of certain characters in the books. Pepe Le Pew, the cartoon, being pulled because he's a bit of a misogynist. Mr. Potato Head is no longer Mr. Potato Head. But you think that vegan should be left alone. If you want to eat plants, why are you ridiculed? Why are you shamed? And are there people that are, I don't know, vegan adjacent, that are learning to live with vegan partners and having to cook 2, maybe even 3 meals in a household because of it?
Yeah, definitely. I think things are changing and people are becoming more accepting of people who are vegan. And it's very funny because if you say to someone that you are plant-based, there isn't really as much of a stigma around that, because the connotation with that is that you are doing it for health. And yes, you might get some comments to say, oh, you're so healthy or something like that. But as soon as you say the word vegan, it's very much a trigger word for people. And I think there's lots of reasons for that. The way the press portrays veganism, and they sort of pick out, certain people that are doing things for the movement, which isn't necessarily the best, decision, but they don't sort of pick it out the bad part. They don't put the good parts out there. And I mean, you often hear the comment, oh yeah, I don't like vegans, a vegan was rude to me once. And it's like, was a meat eater never rude to you? Like, come on, they must have been. So yeah, we do have a lot to deal with as vegans. But I think also people who do eat meat and animal products, sometimes they feel like any statement related to veganism is a personal attack on them, because obviously we are clearly disagreeing with their lifestyle. And so I do understand why sometimes people have an issue with it, but it's really the people that don't understand it and
Yeah.
don't really understand the reason why we are vegan and what we are trying to achieve at the end of the day.
Hattie, how long have you been vegan?
Actually 3 years yesterday.
Okay, well, congratulations.
Thank you. My vegan versary, or I think that's how you say it.
It's interesting. On MasterChef Australia, the last season, they brought in one of Australia's top vegan chefs, an award-winning chef. I can't remember her name, who is not vegan. And she says because of that, she cooks better vegan food because she understands from both sides of the coin what she needs to produce in order to keep her customers satisfied at the end of the day, which I thought was quite an interesting take on it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think, the reality is that most chefs who are cooking vegan meals, which they're doing more and more often now, they aren't vegan themselves. And sometimes they can be very creative, but a lot of the time they don't quite get it right. And that's also where I come in with my services. One thing that we find happens quite a lot is that the meals are not nutritionally balanced, and people are
Mm,
just not too sure, and they're not as creative. They think kind of just a pile of vegetables on a plate is a suitable meal, which it's not really if you're eating out.
yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. I will have to go and watch that Master Chef.
Talk to me about your particular lodge. When guests arrive, are they offered vegan alternatives, or do you just have it on the menu just to sort of pique their interest, perhaps, or change their palate for a meal or two?
Yeah, well, basically our take is to have options on the menu, and this would be all the time. So even if we've got all of our guests in the lodge and no one has any dietary requirements, we would still have the vegan options there. And you'd actually be surprised. A lot of our guests who are not vegan will try something new, and sometimes, although they may not officially identify as being vegan or plant-based, they actually do prefer to eat that way for various reasons. And I've had a lot of conversations lately with guests where they've basically told me that they're not vegan, but they prefer to eat that way. And they're really excited to see all these options on the menu. And also, my sort of take is to rather have a vegan dish and then it can be made vegetarian or it can be made suitable for a meat eater, you know. So vegetarianism is quite big, you know, a lot of everyone knows what that means. Everywhere has vegetarian options. So my point is, instead of having that vegetarian option, rather make it vegan and then just say you can add cheese to this dish,
Okay.
for example, you know,
Okay.
just so that it is there's always an option for someone that is vegan. And actually, just 2 days ago, I had a guest phone. They wanted to inquire about making a booking in the next couple of weeks. And the first question they asked me, before they asked me, do you have availability or how much is it to stay at your lodge? They said, are you vegan friendly? They'd obviously seen it mentioned somewhere. So I was obviously so happy at this and went into a whole spiel about, of course we are, but yes, and hopefully they will book.
You know, it's interesting you say vegan friendly. It's amazing that they don't just say, do you serve vegan food? Why do you have to be vegan friendly? You're not meat friendly. People may say, you know, do you serve steak? But they're not going to say, are you friendly towards a particular eating group?
Yeah,
But at the
I
at the end of the day, I suppose it's just one of the things that we're learning to deal with in the current situation and going forward, for that matter.
Yeah, and I think, you know, also there's more to veganism than just the food. So, just for example, in your guest rooms, like if you have a lodge where you've got animal skins,
Ah,
which many of them do, you know, then ideally, if you know you've got vegan guests coming into that room, you'll take them out. And it's also just about the small touches, you know, is there going to be vegan cookies in the room instead of non-vegan where you're going to have butter and eggs and that kind of thing? Are you going to serve plant milk with the coffee in the morning? On game drive, is there going to be game drive snacks that are suitable? So yes, food is obviously a massive part, and that is the main aspect, but it even goes to the point of like our amenities here at the lodge or our spa products, they are vegan and cruelty free, you know, because it's
that's
all
the way it
part
should
of it.
be.
It's important. Yeah.
Interesting. You've taken me down a path that I never thought existed. You know, the skins on the floor, the products in the bathroom, cookies, milk, that type of thing. It's something obviously that more and more lodges are going to have to become aware of and put into their offerings, just you know, to make level playing fields. Otherwise, people are going to lose out at the end of the day when it comes to vegans and vegetarians, I should imagine. Although vegetarians, what, how would you call vegetarian sort of vegan light, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, a lot of people who are vegan, they were vegetarian before that. So it is often a sort of a transition period. And there's a lot of things to take into consideration. And in my opinion, it doesn't matter whether you are a 3-star rustic bush camp or a 5-star luxury lodge, but you should be making sure that your vegan guests have the same experience as your other guests. At the end of the day, they're paying the same. And I've
True.
even heard people say, oh, I'm going to actually charge more for vegan customers because it's more expensive for us to buy certain things. And that's just because they don't really know the best way to do it. But um, yeah, so vegans are literally either paying the same or potentially paying
Paying more.
more to stay in these places. Yeah, and when you go out to eat, often, you know, here's your coffee price, for example, and that comes with standard dairy milk. But if you want almond milk, you know, you add more, or soy milk, you add more. So we do have to pay a lot more in a lot of situations, and it shouldn't be that way.
And when it comes to breakfast, the ubiquitous full English that everybody knows, every meat eater knows for that matter, and vegan and vegetarian, is there a vegan option for full English that ends up looking like full English?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have a dish on our breakfast menu. We call it the Big Five, and that is traditionally not a vegan dish, but I've made a vegan version of this, and our chefs do it very well. But we've got amazing products here in South Africa. We, for example, will use the Fries sausages, which are, I mean, the brand Fries is very well known. And for bacon, there's a couple of different ways. Fries actually have a polony, which is so much like polony. And if you slice it really thin and then you fry it, it is a lot like bacon.
Okay.
And there's also another company called Urban Vegan, and their bacon is extremely realistic. So, you know, you can buy that, or you can make bacon out of carrots, actually.
Oh,
If you sort of season them correctly with the right things, and slice it thinly. And then with egg, there's a lot of different options. You could use tofu, you can use chickpeas. I actually once was at a festival, a vegan festival, and on the last day I went to get a sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich, and I will never forget it. Everyone, I was standing, it was a very long line, there was a lot of people, and everyone who bought this were walking back again to the front, skipping the queue just to be like, are you sure this is vegan? Even though we were at a vegan festival. And that egg was apparently was made from chickpea, and obviously there's a lot of different products coming out now. I mean, I could list hundreds probably.
yeah.
Yes, you can most definitely, you really can make anything vegan.
I know we made, or my wife made something out of the juice from the chickpea cans. I can't remember what she made, but it's got a particular name, and you
Yes,
can
aquafaba.
aquafaba. That's quite correct. Little did she know, she knew nothing about it. Read about it somewhere, uh, did whatever she did with it, and it. I was stunned and amazed, and I'm putting up my hand to being a carnivore.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's amazing how you can get creative with things that are actually even waste items. You know, normally we just throw that juice down the drain. The common thing to make with it is actually meringue.
That's
You whip
right.
it up with sugar. Is that what she did? Yeah,
That's
and
what she did. She
it's
did
incredible. Yeah.
because we were looking to make a lemon meringue pie, and I phoned one of the top vegan bakers in Joburg to ask her if she had, and she said they are battling to make vegan lemon meringue pie properly.
Hmm.
Or she was. I don't know if you can, and if you can, I will be at your camp tomorrow afternoon for tea.
Yeah, actually, I've never tried, but I will definitely give it a go, and I will send you my secret recipe if I manage to figure out a perfect version.
Thank you so much. Hayley, are there specific foods that you enjoy making that your guests may be surprised at because they think it's just regular food? Meanwhile, it's vegan, and they'll send a plate back going, I don't know what that was, but please, could I have some more? And then when they're told it's vegan, they go, hang on a second. You're kidding me.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think there's a few things. We make, for example, a really good version of a yogurt, which actually is more like a custard. The recipe officially is called a custard, but again, you would never know that it isn't. One of my favorite things to make as well is actually it's like a mayonnaise, but you could also use it as a sour cream or any kind of salad dressing sauce, and you make it by soaking cashews, and you basically blitz them up with some plant milk and some nutritional yeast, which is something that you may or may not be familiar with,
Yeah.
and some seasoning and stuff, and it's really really incredible. And I personally, pre-vegan, hated mayonnaise. I was not a sauce person, and now I made this sauce and I put it on absolutely everything. Um, so yeah, I think, if we can make the fundamental things vegan anyway for our guests, and they don't even necessarily know, you know, it's fine as long as they don't have any allergies to anything in that product. You know, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be something that it contains animal products, and it's that mentality that we need to actually sort of get away from. For example, here we automatically make all of our soups vegan. um, you know, or people will think there's cream in it, but there isn't. But why put cream? You know, we don't have to. So
I was
so yeah,
about
I think
I was about to say, I am a soup fanatic. I will eat soup in 45-degree weather. I have no problem with that. And I normally don't have, as long as it's a reasonably thick soup, I don't need cream in it. I really don't. And I will eat veg, vegetarian, vegan soup. Makes no never mind to me. People don't
yeah.
understand how you can have soup in hot weather. They keep saying it's only a winter dish, and I'm saying no, it's not. I'll have it for breakfast if you offer it to me.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm also a soup lover, so I understand.
And bean soup is my best. That is properly done bean. Could bean soup be seen as vegan?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I eat a lot of beans, and it's a very popular thing for vegans to eat. Obviously, a lot of protein in beans, and we have
Mm.
so many different types. So I would say traditionally a bean soup would be vegan. You know, you have to think about things like stock. So you know you have to use a vegetable stock as opposed to like a chicken stock. So and that's where also with what I do, where the trainings come in with the chefs and stuff. You know, it's these small things that they don't always think about. So you really have to make sure your absolute core ingredients are vegan.
Do you then also have to train your chefs if they're cooking a multitude of different dishes in the same kitchen, that they have to be careful if they've just stirred a beef stew with a spoon, that they don't
Yeah.
go and then put that spoon into a vegan dish. And I suppose at the end of the day, vegans may not notice, but staff will know.
Yeah, you know, obviously when we go out to eat as vegans, we are putting our trust in the chefs and the service staff to give us what we need and what we would like. And unfortunately, it doesn't always work out. So yeah, it's important in my trainings that I talk about the sort of cross contamination. And just for example, with fryers, most lodges, restaurants will just have one fryer, you know, and chips are vegan, that's fine, you know, it's just potatoes, put them in the oil, fine. But then you go and fry like some battered fish or something like that in the same fryer, or some chicken pieces. And then obviously it now you need to change that oil and put in fresh oil, or you have to have two separate fryers. You know, and most chefs are well trained when it comes to dietary requirements. Everyone knows if someone has a nut allergy, you know, that you have to be so careful because it can often be fatal. But really, you know, it should be the same way with people who are vegan. We
Yeah,
will be very upset if we have, you know, unknowingly consumed something that
is
wasn't
against
animal.
your is
Yeah,
against what you believe in, and it's fair enough. And I suppose kitchens like that are much like Jewish kitchens, where you've got to separate milk and meat, and the
yeah,
chefs there are aware of that. So it's not too different for them.
yeah. Yeah, we actually have a fully licensed kosher kitchen here at the lodge as well. It's sealed at the moment, so we can't even enter it. And we have a mashgir who comes from Johannesburg to open it and everything. So luckily, our staff are already quite jacked up
Aware.
when it comes to that kind of thing. Yes, and they know what to do, and you know what isn't okay. So that does help. Yeah.
That's great. Hayley, if people want to find out more about veganism and what it involves, are they able to contact you directly? Or if they're looking to do training for their lodge staff or for a restaurant staff, do you offer that facility through Wild Dreams Hospitality?
Yes, so I offer vegan hospitality consulting, and that is for any hospitality. It could be a restaurant, hotel, lodge, cafe, etc. And that's not just about the food. So I do the recipe development and training in the kitchen, but I'll also do training for the front of house staff, like the servers, the hosts, the managers. I also create wine lists because not all wine is vegan friendly either, so that's really important. And yeah, a whole other range of aspects, and even to the point where I actually help get the word out and do marketing so that they know that you know, this place now is vegan friendly and does have vegan options.
Right.
And in addition to that, I'm actually also doing vegan transition coaching for individuals as well. So if
Okay.
there is anyone, yeah. So if you decide that you would like to look at veganism, and maybe it's something that you've been thinking about for a while, or you're vegetarian, or you may even already have tried being vegan, but you it just didn't work out for you, then I help people through an 8-week program, which is all done online. So yeah, I can help with it all.
And they can contact you, or they can have a look on www.wilddreams.co.za.
Yes, that is correct. And all my contact details are there. And there's also a lot of information about both the consulting and the coaching on dedicated pages. So you can read up exactly what that includes.
Great stuff. Hayley, thank you so much for joining me here on In Conversation With. I have learned an inordinate amount about vegans, vegan food and veganism. And the next time I'm at a lodge, I'm definitely going to try at least one vegan dish.
Wonderful. That sounds excellent. I'm very happy with that. And thank you for having me. It was lovely to meet you. And yeah, lovely to chat.
Hayley Cooper, who is the CEO of Wild Dreams Hospitality. Once again, thanks for being on In Conversation With.